What's up, everyone? It's a knife side here, and today I'm going to be doing a battle of the blades comparing the Spyderco Gayle Bradley 2 with the Spyderco PM2. And so the Gayle Bradley 2 is one of my most recent pickups from Spyderco, while the PM2 was my very first pickup from Spyderco and probably one of my first really nice knives. And these knives are very similar to each other in length and in price. I believe the PM2 comes around that 150, 160 mark, and the Gayle Bradley 2 is at that 170 mark. So very similar knives, but just a quick anatomy on them, I guess. The Gayle Bradley 2 has an M4 drop point blade, carbon fiber laminate scales with a liner lock, a 4-way reversible pocket clip, running on phosphor bronze washers, and made in the Taichung, Taiwan plant, designed by Gayle Bradley. The PM2 is just this regular PM2 blade. I guess that's only what I really know it as. It's got G10 handles, a 4-way reversible pocket clip. It's made in Golden, Colorado, and it uses the compression lock for its locking mechanism. So for the looks on these two knives, this is the category that I don't really care about all that much, but I would have to give it to the Gayle Bradley 2, and that's probably just because I like how this blade looks. It's got a satin on the grind here, and then kind of a brush flat, as you can see that light reflecting, I guess. I think that contrasts pretty well and looks pretty good. And even though a lot of people don't like these carbon fiber laminate scales, I think that they look just fine. On the PM2, I really don't have many complaints with it. The lines are a little bit ugly, but I guess that's Spyderco's specialty. These handle scales are pretty basic, so I guess if I had to give a winner for looks, it would be the Gayle Bradley 2. And on this episode of Battle of the Blades, I'm not really doing it as serious as I usually do. A lot of times I'll keep track, alright, who won this category, who won this, and then the winner of all those, I will, basically, whoever has the most points wins. For this one, I'm just going to talk about all of them and then pick my winner. So, for the blade on these, the Gayle Bradley 2 wins in the blade category by a large margin. And it's not just because of the blade steel, but yes, I do like M4 more than S35VN. The basic PM2 has S30V, but both steels are fine with me, but I do like this M4 more. I like the blade shape on the Gayle Bradley 2. I just feel like it's one of the best blade shapes out there. You know, it's just a very simple drop point that just works very well. You still have nice access for the tip for cuts like this, but you also have that nice functional belly that a drop point provides. And it is ground very thin behind the edge. It is a hollow grind. I'm going to do a quick measurement here, see how it is looking. Sorry if this takes up too much time. If you don't care about this, which I think you should, just move along. But look at that, 10 thousandths behind the edge on the hollow grind. And then I'll measure my PM2, which is flat ground. We're looking 22 thousandths behind the edge on my PM2, and a flat grind 10 thousandths behind the edge on the Gayle Bradley 2, and a hollow grind. So obviously the Gayle Bradley 2 just cuts so much better than the PM2. You know, the PM2 isn't a horrible cutter. I've carried this knife for the past week. I'm kind of doing a test. It's kind of hurting me on the inside, but I'm going to see how long I can use S35VN without it going dull. And so I'm still slicing paper, so I'm going to keep doing it. Usually I would have stropped this knife by now and honed it already, but I'm just testing it to see. So I have used the PM2 a bunch, and I can say that the Gayle Bradley 2 is just a much more enjoyable knife to use. Comparing the stock thicknesses, they are pretty similar. The PM2 at its thickest point is just a little bit thicker than the Gayle Bradley 2. And this is a gripe that I have with the PM2 that I don't really say very much, is that I really like a distal taper on my knives, but I feel like the distal taper on the PM2 is just a little bit too extreme, because it feels like this stock thickness right here is like a hard use stock thickness almost, and then however thin it is up here seems like it's for light duty EDC tasks. Now, I don't really complain about tips being too thin, because honestly I have never broken one, and so until I break one I probably won't complain about it much. But it's just one of those things where I feel like I'd like to see this thinner behind this just a thinner stock right here, and it just be a little bit less extreme of a distal taper. Once again, that's a major nitpick, but it's just one of those things which I've never understood. While the Gayle Bradley 2 pretty much just carries its thickness throughout, and then has a swedge up here which thins it out at the tip, which I really like. And I said this in my review of the Gayle Bradley 2, this blade is pretty much perfect, except that there is a smile at the plunge grind right there. So I wish that was fixed, but that's one of those things that I could always fix myself. The PM2, like I said, it's not a horrible blade. I just think that this would be so much better ground to like 10 thousandths behind the edge. And I do really like both of these blade shapes, but because of all the reasons I listed, the Gayle Bradley 2 is the winner for the blade category. So for the fit and finish and lockout, both these knives actually have very good fit and finish. This PM2 is pretty much dead center, as well as the Gayle Bradley 2. Blade play, no blade play, side to side on the GB2. Same for the PM2, no up and down, no up and down. Both lockups are very solid. I really do like this liner lock on the Gayle Bradley 2. It's just very well done. The main complaint is this lock bar access right here, which this knife has honestly been a user for me, and so I'm really just disengaging this lock as many times as I open it. It's not a very fun knife to play with, and so it's not really that much of a big deal to me, but this lockup is very solid. It's just Spyderco does a very good job with their liner locks and frame locks, so I really do like that about the Gayle Bradley 2. This compression lock also on the PM2. I think that the compression lock on the PM2 is done very well. There is no nub poking out or anything, so there's no issues with that. And I feel like I personally have probably given the compression lock a little more hate than it deserves, just because it's one of those things that I can admit this myself. I guess when it comes to a big company that everyone loves like Spyderco, sometimes I just guess I want to be stubborn or defiant or something and just not like what everyone else likes. But I'll admit it, the compression lock on the PM2 is done very well. And honestly, both of them have good fit and finish. Both of them have good lockups. But I guess because of the lock bar access on the Gayle Bradley 2, I'll give it to the PM2. If you guys don't know, you guys told me this on my review of the Gayle Bradley 2. Gayle Bradley designed this knife to purposely not have very much lock bar access, because there is the chance that you can disengage a liner lock when you are hard using it. Let me show you that. It's one of those things where it's really never gonna happen, but if I like twist on this and push down on the blade, I can disengage that liner lock. As you can see, it's locked up here, and then I kind of twist a little bit with my hand. Let me try and get it. Oh no. Yeah, see, it's one of those things where it's really hard to get, and it's really just if you're going to be twisting and there's going to be pressure being put down on the blade, there is the chance that it can disengage. So I don't know if I really agree with that design feature, but I do think it's cool that Gayle Bradley obviously cares about making his knife a very good hard user. So for the ergonomics category, I'd say for that last category of fit and finish plus lockup, I'd give it to the PM2 just because the compression lock is very well done. But for the ergonomics, the Gayle Bradley 2 also wins this category. So why the PM2 doesn't win it is because honestly, these scales, there's one very small chamfer going all the way around, and they are flat, they are not contoured at all. And so basically what this does is they just feel very blocky in your hand. It just feels like two slabs of G10, honestly. And so, you know, it's not like it's hot spotty or anything, it's just not very comfortable. And after I use this for a long time, I just, I want to use a different knife pretty much. I wish that this jimping was not as sharp, because sometimes the main hot spot that I get with the PM2 is in this choked up grip. A lot of times I'll do a hammer grip cutting down when I cut cardboard, and if I'm cutting like multiple layers of it, there's a bunch of resistance going like this, and so that jimping is digging into my hand right around in this area, so that becomes a little bit uncomfortable. Also, when I do the same cut back here, this compression lock area does become a little bit uncomfortable. So for those reasons, the Gayle Bradley 2 wins, and this is just a very comfortable knife. The ergonomic lines are very simple, you know, no real big finger grooves at all. You can hold it like this and it's just as comfortable as holding it like this. And this jimping right here is very minimal. It still does work, but it's not overly sharp. It's right where your thumb lands, and it just feels very good. You can use it in this pinch grip, hammer grip, and I really have no issues with the ergonomics on this Gayle Bradley 2, and it's one of my most comfortable knives that I own, and it kind of looks funky, which I think is cool. My main complaint, if I had one with the ergos, is as you can see, this kind of, it dips down right here and then goes up right here. That means that the pressure of this is going to go into this area that's touching your palm. So I guess with extended cutting, that could wear down your hand a little bit. Also, since this dips in when you are doing heavier cuts, this can go back into your hand, which it's only really happened once for me, but that can be kind of painful. But really, no real complaints with the ergos. It's a very comfortable knife. So the Gayle Bradley 2 wins the ergonomics portion of this. For the carry of these two knives, both of them are good. I have an MXG gear clip, or no, this is a Lynch clip on my PM2, and I don't really know why I did it, because the PM2 does not need a deep carry clip, but I think that I just bought one off Blade HQ, and I've never really changed it. Both these knives carry good. I really don't have any problems with it. The Gayle Bradley 2 slides in and out of the pocket better, just because the carbon fiber laminate is a little bit smoother than this G10. The PM2, probably with the stock clip, it probably carries just a little bit deeper, but honestly, I'm going to call it a tie for me. The Gayle Bradley 2 is a little bit heavier, so maybe if that's important, the PM2 wins. Both of them carry fine, so I'm fine with that. I guess if I had to choose a winner, I'd just pick the PM2, because it probably carries a little bit deeper and is a little bit lighter, but really not an issue with me at all. For the action of these two knives, one of the last categories here, the action on these, it's both good. I really do enjoy both of them. The PM2, you can do all the fun stuff with it. Spidey flick it, thumb flick it, whatever this thing is. Oh wait, I gotta get this. Yeah, you can do that too. It's just a fun knife to play with. My compression lock does not do the drop shut thing, but just a little bit of wrist and it will go down. So overall, a PM2, my action on this is very well tuned. I've never actually taken apart this knife. It's just be from only pretty much breaking in. The Gayle Bradley 2 is also really good. Now the detent on this knife is a little bit light, as you can see there, but what I like about that is it makes slow rolling very easy. Sometimes when you have knives with a heavier detent that are thumb studs, it almost feels like you slow roll like this. You know, like it almost skips here and then you got to go like that. So I think that it just makes for a very smooth and gradual thumb roll. But what a lot of people don't like about that soft detent is a lot of times you will fail when you're flicking it. But personally for me, if I just think about it, it's no problem at all. And if I'm just mindlessly flipping it, yeah, I might fail it a couple times, but really not an issue for me. And I do really like a good slow roll. But because of the action, or because of the compression lock, and then this lock bar axis not being the best, I guess I'll give the win in the action to the PM2. For the value, I think that the Gayle Bradley 2 wins on this one, as I've stated here in the review. It's just got very good ergonomics, very good blade. The blade is almost perfect. It's just such a good blade. It carries fine. The fit and finish is great. Very solid lockup, which is a well done liner lock, other than if you care about that lock bar axis portion, which is a design purpose, I guess. But yeah, so these knives are only about the difference of $10, and I personally think that you're getting a lot better value with the Gayle Bradley 2. And so for the, I guess, whoever won this Battle of the Blades, you probably can already really tell who won, but the Gayle Bradley 2 is the winner for me. But you know, maybe they're not the winner for you. The reason why they're the winner for me is because the blade is just amazing, like I've already said many times. The ergonomics are also very good, and blade geometry and ergonomics are probably two of the most things that I care about. You know, they both have very good fit and finish. Maybe if you really like the compression lock action and maybe this carries just a little bit better, I don't really know. But maybe if you just like to honestly play with your knives more than you use them, the PM2 might be a better option for you. But for me, I think that the Gayle Bradley 2 is a great choice. And one of those knives from Spyderco, there aren't many of them, but one of them that I think is priced very accurately and at a solid price for the average person. So that's going to do it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know down below what you think of it, I guess. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them down below. Sorry for the lack of videos this last week, I guess. I'm actually waiting on a Mannix in the mail. USPS is slow. I'm also waiting on a small Sabenza in the mail. USPS is slow. And so I was planning on getting my first impressions on those out, but because those orders are delayed, I didn't really have any videos to do. So I figured that this would be a nice battle of the blades, and I feel like it's one that I was excited to do ever since I got the Gayle Bradley 2. But that's going to do it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.